Okay guys, here's my next project. I'll talk about it in another video where I talk about sawmill, and I ended up buying this tractor and trading a sawmill and a log for it. It's a Ford 3600. I think by the serial number, I think it's around this about a mid 70s when they first started making them. It's got the air stack on the front, which isn't typical of what I see in most of the pictures. It could have different cowling, different serial number sitting on it. But it's either the 3600 or the 3000. It's the 3-cylinder diesel engine. It's sat for a long time. Although it's a pretty clean looking tractor. It rolls good, shifts through all the gears good, but it will not turn over, or it's very stiff to turn over. So basically what I've done so far, I've pulled the injectors. I did take one of these little cheap, let's see here, cheap borescope cameras. You just plug it into a laptop. And I did stick it down the bore. No water in the bores. The bores actually look really clean. A little bit of light rust look maybe around the edge. But I'm going to go ahead and put the typical mix of ATF cut down with a little bit of acetone down the cylinders. Lube them up because it hasn't turned over in a long time. Also pulled the starter out of it, and I could tell that the point on the flywheel, it's hard to see in there right now, but where the starter had sat on the flywheel was looking pretty rough. This battery tray, I need to put some baking soda on it and clean up some of this corrosion and neutralize it. And even some up there on that front bracket. Get that cleaned up. We did drain all the fuel out of it. The fuel was smelling really bad, so it had definitely gone bad. So I'm gonna put some oil down the cylinders, let that thing soak till this weekend. Probably this is Tuesday, so I'll probably just let it sit here and soak till this weekend. Get the cylinders good and lubed up and see if we can't come out here. I think I already broke it free slightly just by putting it in high gear, high range, 8th gear, and kind of rocking it back and forth just slightly by the tire. It did look like the flywheels moved just a little bit. So I think put some cylinder oil down the cylinders. I might end up having to pull the pan. I hope this thing didn't have a major problem and spin a rod, lock a rod or something, rod bearing or something up. But if I do, it's not that big of a deal. These tractors are actually pretty simple to work on. So if I had to, I could end frame overhaul it. I got it at a very good price. And the tires, it's got some slight dry cracking on that tire. This tire here looks pretty good. So I mean, I'm in it for about the cost of the tires, to tell you the truth. So if I can get this thing running, I would probably be willing to use it some, or I might just turn around and sell it. Injectors are super easy and cheap on these things to pull. I think I can get a new set of injectors for about 140 bucks. The starter, I'll probably take it to a local place. Might have it rebuilt. Charge on this big old battery and see if I can get it back up to par. But I'll test the starter with a different battery, make sure it's working good. If not, I'll have it rebuilt. So take a little time and effort and see if I can't get this thing up and going. I'll update you guys and let you know whether the oil in the cylinders helps free this thing up. I'm hoping it's just sat so long the rings have condensated a little bit to the cylinder walls, or possibly I couldn't get the thing to move at all before I pulled that starter. That starter could be froze up, and that would be a real nice win there. Get a rebuilt starter and have a good running tractor. So we'll see. It's worth the gamble to me, and see if I can put a little time and effort into it and make some money on it. If not, I'll end up selling it as is and just basically get my money back out of it. I'm in it safe enough that I can get my money back out if I can't make money on it. I can't fix it. I mean, really, this thing would probably part out at a couple $1,000s. This tire here has got a little bit of crack in it. Probably doesn't have a ton of life left in it, although I've ran tractors many years with tires that looked just like that, or if not worse. And the brakes work, and everything else seems to work on it. One telltale sign I'm a little leery of is the guy bought it at an auction. He was wanting to online auction. He didn't really know anything about it. It was locked up. This shaft here came with it. I don't know if they just can't get that shaft off. I haven't tried to free that up yet. So maybe it was parked with a bush hog or some attachment sitting on it, and then they couldn't get it to start, so they wanted to keep the attachment, and they just couldn't get this yoke off the output shaft. Or it was being ran and locked up while it was running. That part there kind of scares me as to why they left that on there. But I'll do a little work, dig into it. I might try to get here and do some filming. But for right now, priority is get the engine freed up. If I can't get the engine freed up, I'm not going to do any other work. I'm not even going to worry about taking that drive shaft off the back if I can't get the engine free. So we'll go from there and see how it goes. Hope you enjoy. So I'm going to try to pour this in here and not make an absolute mess and film it at the same time. Doesn't take a ton. Just enough to get the cylinder wet. On top of that piston, get everything down in there good and down by the rings. Make sure it's I'm gonna free all that stuff up. The guy did change the oil. So I'll definitely end up having to drain that after this. Eee. Looks like my mixture isn't sort of separated. So I'll go ahead and pour this down there. That looks like mostly acetone. Come back to this one, pour some acetone in it. Nope, do a little cleaning. There we go. Now I will probably, when I try to get this thing turning over, I will probably roll this thing outside. Because that thing's going to shoot all kinds of crap out of those holes if you do get it turning over. But we'll see how it goes. Let it sit for a while and come back in a day or two and see if she's freed up maybe.